Put a finger down if you decided in 2025 that you were going to create your dream life and you were going to start completely fresh and you were going to establish all of these goals and all these different categories of your life. You were going to completely switch up the way that you're doing things and get the life that you wanted overnight. Basically, you established all these things that you wanted to do, you started doing them, you were doing good for maybe about a week or two, and then you started falling off because you didn't have the motivation, you didn't feel like doing it, you were tired, you were burnt out, you were overwhelmed, and now you've hit a point where you realize nothing is getting done. Yeah, okay, let's talk about it. What's up, y'all? Welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Rachel and I'm happy to have you here. It is time to lock in. We have finally hit the month of July and we have 6 months left in 2025. It is the time to just kind of take a step back, reflect on what has been working, what has not been working, and then move forward. And I braided my hair, and that's how you know, for me, it's time to lock in. When I put some braids in my hair, that means it is time to get to work. I feel like July is one of those times of the year where it just makes sense to just reevaluate your goals and then figure out what you need to do to move forward. Normally it's, for me at least, it's the beginning of the year, so sometime in January, where I want to establish the goals and have an idea, make the vision board, all of the things. And then in July, it's kind of like, okay, we're halfway through the year, what's gotten done, what hasn't gotten done, and what do I need to do different to get what the results that I want to get. It's time to stop talking about the goals that I want to have and actually set into place the plan to get the goals done. I mean, technically I did think that I was working on a plan to some degree, but the plan didn't work. So I need a new plan, and that's what I'm going to work on in this video. But I feel like ultimately this is something that happens to me every single year. Like, I'm always thinking about all these different goals that I have and the things that I want to do, but I don't really have an effective plan for them. And so even when I come up with a plan, it doesn't work. And instead of me reevaluating and trying to figure out, okay, why is it not working? What's a different plan that I can have that will work? I'm just like, oh, okay, it didn't work. Oh, well, we'll try again next year. But like, I don't want to do that. I made that creating my dream life video where I outlined all of my goals maybe about like 2.5 months ago now. But even though stuff isn't getting done, I don't want to just throw in the towel and be like, okay, I'll try again next year. It's fine. It didn't work this year because I fell off of the plans and all of that. Like, no, I mean, there's still time in this year. 6 months, it might not be all of the time. It's not 12 months, but it still is 6 months, and there's still so much that can happen in those 6 months. Basically, I got overwhelmed. I think I had way too much on my plate, and I don't think the problem is that I set a lot of goals. I think the problem is that I expected all of those goals to happen overnight at the same time. I expected a dramatic change in the way that I moved on a day-to-day overnight. Like, when I established those goals and I put them out here on this channel, I expected that that following week I would have a whole new schedule, I'd have a whole new routine, I was going to start getting different results, and that did not happen. And as a result, I looked at it as though, okay, well, I failed, I fell off, I messed up, the dream life is out of my reach. But that's not the case. It's just maybe that plan that I had of, okay, I have all these new goals, now let's just jump right in, that did not work for me because I got overwhelmed. It was a bit much for me, honestly. I'm very quick to call myself inconsistent. I've been like that a lot. Like, I feel like whenever I start something, oh, it's not gonna last, I'll fall off eventually because I'm not consistent. But that's not true. I think I am consistent. I think the issue is just that I overwhelm myself and then don't have an actual plan on how to accomplish all of the things that I want to accomplish. Because honestly, in my mind, the goals that I listed off didn't really seem that difficult, and they didn't seem unreasonable either. Things like working out or drinking more water, taking my vitamins, reading my Bible more, waking up at a set schedule, getting more into my fashion and beauty and editing and all of these things. It doesn't really seem like it's a lot to put on myself, and it's not a lot to expect. But when I'm trying to do all of that at one time, it can be overwhelming. And so from there, I'm telling myself, oh, it's because I'm not consistent. That's why I haven't done it. That's why I've fallen off. That's why I've I've lost sight of those goals. But no, I'm just burnt out. I'm overwhelmed. I put too much of an expectation on myself instead of working my way towards it. I'm trying to focus on all these different moving pieces of the categories that I'm trying to pursue instead of focusing on that one specific thing. I had a lot of emphasis on how I felt or how I did not feel. Like, I don't feel like working out. I don't feel like drinking the water. I don't feel like doing X, Y, and Z. Instead of creating discipline for me to actually show up to each of those different goals and pour into them, I just focused on the lack of motivation that I had. It also kind of ties into the perfectionism piece that I talk all the time about, is that I didn't feel like it was going to be perfect, so therefore I didn't do it at all. And that sounds ridiculous, but that's literally the way that I've been moving, you know? And so I have to give myself grace and just recognize, okay, even if it sounds ridiculous, this is what you're up against. So let's figure out a plan against that. Let's figure out what will work for you so that you can move forward and that you're not getting stuck in this same repetitive cycle every single time, because it's not helping me. I was actually talking to one of my friends about this, how I feel like I put myself under high stress situations, and I think I've just kind of gotten used to that. Not saying that this is healthy and that this is what I should be doing, because I know that it's not healthy and I shouldn't be doing it, but when I really just think back to how I've kind of operated, I've noticed a pattern. And I think when I was talking to her, it was specifically about, you know, kind of how I was in school. So for example, if we have an assignment that is due and we have like a deadline of 2 weeks, I'm either going to immediately start working on the assignment and just try to knock it out and be completely done with it, or I'll wait until maybe like a day or two before it's due and try to do it kind of at the last minute. Like that whole time of the 2-week period, I could be working on it and I could be spreading it out and spacing it out as needed, but I didn't do that because for some reason it's kind of like, okay, when it gets down to crunch time, that's when I put all this effort in. And that was not effective. I mean, it got me through. I was able to make it through school and everything was fine. But I think that's translated a lot into kind of the way that I live my life in general, even in the way that I'm showing up with these goals. I established all these goals a couple of months ago, but I think in the back of my mind, it's like, oh, I still have time. We're not even close to the end of 2025 yet. So I'm telling myself that I have all the time in the world, when honestly, I don't. Like, technically within 2025, I still do have 6 more months, but tomorrow is not promised and time is not something that you can get back. And so I don't want to continue taking for granted the amount of time that I have right now. I don't want to keep getting caught up in waiting until the last minute because, oh, I still have time. I don't want to operate that way anymore. I don't want December to roll around and then I realize that everything I established for wanting to do, I didn't do. And then in December is when I'm trying to cram everything in. In December, I'm trying to get a whole gym routine and I'm trying to change my sleep schedule and I'm trying to drink all this water to make up for lost time. No, that's ridiculous. Like, that's not going to work. So I really just want to get out of that and start being able to adopt new goals now, like figure out new routines and things that work for me now. So how am I going to do that? Well, my plan for now, in the month of July at least, I am going to focus solely on one goal: reading my Bible more. That is the goal. I feel like it's weird for me to just focus on one goal, but clearly me focusing on a whole bunch of them at one time didn't work. So if that didn't work, let's try focusing on one thing. And I think that will be beneficial for me. I mean, I'll test it out and I'll see, but that will be the plan for the month of July at least, is to just primarily focus on my relationship with God. So I have to take a step back and really question, like, how important is that to me? Because if I'm not making time for it, then what are we doing? But I'm also recognizing that it is important to actually work that into my regular routine. I have established that it is going to be first thing in the morning every single day. No questions asked. Like, there's no excuses to be made. This is just something that I must do. And I have to adopt that mindset. Because in the same way, if I really think about it, like, I set an alarm every morning so that I can get up and be ready to go to work. And I have an expectation to be at work at a set time. And I do that every single day. So in the same way, I have to set an alarm and have an expectation that I'm going to get up and read the Bible. There is no difference. If work is important to me because I show up and there's an expectation there on myself and for other people, in the same way, there is an expectation that I show up in my relationship with God. That is important to me, just like work is important to me. It doesn't matter if I go to bed at 10 p.m. or if I go to bed at 1 a.m. That alarm still goes off at the same time, and I still have the expectation to be at work. Just because I went to sleep later doesn't mean I can be like, oh, okay, well, I'll just go into work 3 or 4 hours later. No, like that's not how it works. So in the same way, regardless of if I go to bed at 10 p.m. or 1 a.m., I still need to set that alarm for the same time earlier in the morning so that I can wake up and prioritize my time with the Lord. Because I've tried this. Like, I've tried to set an alarm earlier and wake up earlier so that I can read the Bible. But in the back of my mind, it's like, oh, okay, well, I don't need to be at work yet, so it's fine. Like, I'll just read it later. I'll read it before I go to bed. I'm just going to go ahead and turn that alarm off and wake up in an hour so I can get at least another hour of sleep. That is a lack of discipline. That is me showing myself that that goal, even though I say it means a lot to me, it's clearly not that important to me if I was going to continuously turn my alarm off each and every time. No, I should have gone to bed earlier, because half the time I'm going to bed late on my own doing because I'm up scrolling on TikTok or I'm watching TV. It's nothing that it's like I'm doing that's super important that justifies why I can't wake up early and read the Bible. And I think it's also important to make that easier for me. Maybe the night before, I have everything set up. I have my Bible open to whatever I'm intending to read that next morning. I have my journal right there so I can start taking notes. I have everything already laid out and set in place so that when I get up in the morning, the only difficulty that I have is just getting out of the bed. In the beginning of trying to create a rhythm and continuously pour into this goal, it might not be super easy. Like, I'm not necessarily a morning person, so getting up super early and then being tired and feeling like, okay, now I gotta read, that might not be the easiest thing for me to do. So what can I do to make it easier on myself? And I think over time that will just naturally help some of my other goals. Like, I'll be able to implement the other things that I wanted to do as well. One of my goals was to go to bed earlier and wake up earlier. So by me saying that I am going to do my Bible reading first thing in the morning before I even go to work, that is kind of forcing me to adjust my sleep schedule. And then also I want to have the energy to do these things. So maybe the working out and the drinking water consistently and all of that will be something that's important to me as well, because of how important my goal of spending consistent time with God is to me. And then, you know, I like to bring some scriptures in. So I have 3 scriptures that I found that I want to share. So one of them is in Proverbs 3. It's verses 3 and 4. Let love and faithfulness never leave you. Bind them around your neck. Write them on the tablet of your heart. Then you will win favor and a good name in the sight of God and man. That was important for me because if I continuously let faithfulness always be something that stays with me, if I never let faithfulness leave me, then I'll win favor with God. The next one is in Matthew. It's chapter 6, so it's 2 different verses. One of them is verse 25 and the other one is verse 33. They kind of tie in together because when I was thinking about like all of my other goals, like my personal goals, fashion, beauty, all of those different things, right? It says, so verse 25 says, therefore I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat or drink, or about your body, what you will wear. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothes? And then if we jump down to verse 33, it says, but seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. That just kind of highlights for me what is most important. Of all the goals that I established, my spiritual goals are above everything else. Because if I seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, then everything else will be given to me as well. And then the last one was in Luke chapter 16, verse 10. Whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much. And whoever is dishonest with very little will also be dishonest with much. If I'm taking on too many goals at one time, it's just not going to work. So if I can focus on one goal and I can pour my all into that one goal, then the way that I see it, I can be trusted with much later on down the line. I can add more goals into it, and then I'll already know that I have the discipline and I have the consistency. I'll have a whole different mindset about that, because my consistency mindset will change based off of me even just showing up reading my Bible every single morning. Because I am disciplined and I am determined to do it, I'll be able to look back and be like, you know what, I am consistent because I was able to consistently read my Bible. My mindset about all of this will change entirely. So yeah, I mean, I think that's really it. Like, I have gotten to a point where I'm just doing a lot of reflection and I'm giving myself grace as I do this journey. It's very easy to look back and be like, okay, it's been 2.5 months. I had all these goals and I have nothing to show for it. Like, I don't have any positive updates on things. All I can come on this YouTube channel and say is that I fell off, nothing got done, you know. But I mean, this is just my real life, and then you live and you learn. That's really what it is. Figuring out, okay, that didn't work, I was overwhelmed, let's focus on one thing instead of focusing on however many goals I established. It was just too much, and that's okay. I didn't have to just completely change my life overnight. That's a lot to expect, that's a lot to put on myself. So now I'm just looking at it a little bit differently. What is the most important goal out of everything that I listed, and let's focus on that. That is it. Everything else will be added after that, but my priority right now is reading my Bible and gleaning whatever I can from that. Alrighty, y'all, that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye.